Hello and welcome to episode something something of the something 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 something, the Good Guy Podcast. I'm wearing shoes. What episode is it? I kind of flip between caring what episode it is and not caring what episode it is. Let's just make sure we're recording. We are recording. Lovely. Um, I like to maybe keep a mark on it. This is episode 48 of the Good Guy Podcast, which is really cool. I feel like I'm doing good. I'll be excited when I hit 50 and I'll be excited when I hit 100. I guess I won't hit 100 for another year if I do it weekly, and that's the plan. So you're stuck with me if you're invested at all. But hopefully you are invested. I hope you're enjoying what's happening. I've just taken the dog for a walk. I'm drinking a Coke Zero. As always, making noises while drinking so that the people just listening to the podcast know that I am just drinking and I haven't disappeared. And I haven't paused it. Because there's nothing worse than taking your phone out of your pocket because you're like, oh, did I pause that by accident? And then it keeps playing and you're like, ah, fuck. I mean, there's a lot worse than that. But that's the phrase, isn't it? There's nothing worse. There's nothing worse. I've just taken the dog for a walk again. As is the routine for the old podcaster Rooney. Take the dog for a walk on a Wednesday and then come back and do the podcast. On the walk I had a lot of really good ideas for the sketch that I'm working on. I'm just waiting for a bit of scenery and props to arrive for the sketch. Hey, professional. Scenery and props? Professional. He says, staring into a webcam on his laptop that is on top of a skateboard on his desk. In what fucking world? And I haven't plugged this in. For fuck's sakes. That was my beard grazing against the microphone. I trimmed my beard slightly today. I won't talk about. I got told off for talking about my beard too much in the last episode. There was too much beard chat, not enough content. Something I've made a few notes and we've got a few questions on the Instagrams and the Twitter. So we'll rattle on with those, and we'll save those till the end because I've got a few things to chat about. Just to see what the fuck happens. The last couple episodes have been a bit. It's been an interesting period with the podcast. I'm trying to find my place and my style of podcasting. Jesus, there's fucking 4 cans of Coke Zero here. I love the Coke Zero. But that's not what I was talking about. I was talking about finding my place in the internet world. And I think I kind of swung the pendulum in the direction of being very vulnerable, and I want to keep that. I want to keep that honesty and that vulnerability. But I don't think that has to preclude me from being silly and allowing myself to say some stuff that I don't think in like a kind of an act out or kind of a bit or like a rant or whatever, like a bit of kind of a hot take kind of thing. I think it's a balance because I think the honesty comes with like my intent of like I like saying silly things, I like saying outrageous things, I like saying offensive things because they're funny. And you know, this balance of like a vulnerability and a genuineness balanced against the comedy, the comedian. I'm a comedian, as much as I am a podcaster. So it's an interesting balance to try and work out, and I think it'll just be similar to what I want to do with like any Edinburgh show I do. I want it to be a reflection of who I am at that time. So however I'm feeling on a Wednesday afternoon is how this is going to be. And I'm feeling pretty gassy today. So so you're gonna get a couple burps. God, that made my eyes water. And this links into the first thing that I wanted to talk about, where I've always had this thing where, because the whole time I've been doing comedy, I've been running my own show, which is kind of ludicrous. And I'm sure a lot of people would scoff at that and say, fuck, who does he think he is, running his own show, doing whatever. But I kind of, it's just the way it is. I've always done it because I like having that stage time and I like working on my MCing, and I feel like it's made me a much better comic, much faster than a lot of people. Because if you think about it, if all you're doing is 5 minute spots when you start, then like the maximum stage time you can get in a week is probably half an hour, 35 minutes if you're doing 5 minutes every night. Maybe sometimes you can double up, but it's going to be around 30, 35 minutes. Whereas if you're MCing a show, you're probably on stage for about 20 minutes at least, sometimes half an hour. So if you're on stage for half an hour in one night a week versus everyone else getting that over the course of a week, then any spots you do, 5 minute spots anywhere else, are like a bonus, and you get to kind of like, you just get that extra stage time. So I think it's been good. But an issue that I have found as I'm moving through and I'm kind of understanding the dynamics of stand up a little bit more, is that there's a part of the kind of shows that I would run, it's called barking. In the UK, kind of known more as flyering, and it's an issue at the Edinburgh Fringe as well, not just running your own show. And there's this weird dynamic shift. I didn't feel it as much as the Edinburgh Fringe because it's like, that's kind of what's expected. But for example, at the Brewdog show that I do weekly, that has like a bar. It's upstairs and downstairs. The gig is downstairs, and quite a lot of the audience will come from me doing a little loop around upstairs going, "Hi guys, there's a stand-up comedy show on downstairs. It's free, really good comedians that are doing the whole spiel." And I find the best way to do that, to bark, is to be very kind of genuine and say, "Hey guys, look, there's a really good comedians. I'd really appreciate it if you come. It's really great. Do you guys fancy it?" Jesus Christ. And then you have to go downstairs and be on stage and be a comedian. And it's so, not always, but sometimes there's this very strange, especially in the smaller show, like the capacity of Brewdog downstairs is probably like 20 or 30 max. So say you go down and there's maybe 15 people in the audience, and you're like, you've just been very genuine with them and you've asked them to come downstairs and said, "Oh, would you like to," whatever. There's this weird dynamic of like, the pressure's really on you because you've been like, "It's great, you should come down." And it's also hard to, there's no like mystique. And I think as much as when I do stand-up comedy, I aim to be entirely myself on stage, there kind of has to be that air of like a bit of, who's this guy, and like trying to work the person out as they're on stage, like, whereas you've kind of gotten to know them a bit upstairs and they have a preconceived idea of you as this kind of almost needy person. I don't think it always comes across needy, but that's the danger. So that's just a really hard thing to like balance, and I think that's what I'm trying to do with the podcast, where it's a balance between like sincerity and saying what I think about things. And I think it's quite hard to believe in your ideas and your intellect enough to think, no, I can give my sincere opinion on this. Not that a sincere opinion takes any more intellect or less intellect than a comical opinion. They're both kind of, but I guess it's, a comic opinion's a bit more throwaway. Whereas if I'm on here saying this is what I believe, then it's a harder thing to kind of like back myself with. It's easy to go, that was my impression of a hot take. And but it's hard for me to go, this is what I actually think about this, and this is what should happen. So we're working on it. There'll be a few hot takes in this episode. I'm gonna get an intro again because I liked having the little intro music. Although its purpose was kind of to separate between the plugs of the gigs and the show. But I don't have gigs to plug. But maybe I'll just plug all my quarantine content. Because I'm a content cowboy. See that? I just took a drink without. Are you proud of me? Validate me. And then the other problem is when you're trying to put across your sincere opinion, you don't want to become indulgent. And you want it to be effective if you're trying to get a point across. You don't want it to seem like you're just really indulging your own ideas and not very little self-awareness or anything like that. You want it to come across as like, this is, I don't know, you just want to come across as effective and sincere rather than indulgent. And I wanted to talk about a friend of mine posted this rant, which was like a video version of a blog post that he'd done. And I won't name him. I mean, it's good. It's gone really, I mean, he's fucking blown up all over the place. People have really appreciated it. I haven't watched it the whole way through. I couldn't. It really isn't my thing. It's really not my thing. It's this like rant. He's been on the podcast, friend of mine. Like, he's great. And if you know him, you'll know who I'm talking about. And if you're him, hello. And I've been thinking about this recently, right? Because there's a big thing on podcast where it's like people always go, oh, we won't name him, but there's a guy I knew, da 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 da. And that's grand because you don't want, like, my opinion carries some weight with some people that listen to this podcast. So you don't want to badmouth anyone or do anything. But I think the balance is like, if it's your friend, you should be able to criticize them in a way that isn't like derogatory, and you still be able to whatever. Basically, it was this rant about the NHS and about how we are all not the same, and because the whole spiel on coronavirus at the minute is that we are the same, and like it's the great leveler, like it doesn't care if you're rich or poor or whatever, but that's an oversimplification of it, and like, and the I mean, a lot of people will have switched off because of all the burps. Because poor people don't have garden space, they don't have freedom to self-isolate, they kind of live on top of each other a bit more, they have manual labour jobs, they can't work from home, they can't keep as busy or as active, they don't have access to a lot of these things, the fucking content, like fucking Netflix or whatever, and or consoles, and I mean, a lot of them do, that's kind of not, those aren't things that our working class people don't have. It tends to be the gardens and the work thing. But and I guess that's it. As far as I could tell, that's the thing. And they had this whole rant about like yoga instructors and being like, you can't tell a fucking nurse that they to like try a bit of downward dog after their shift because they just want to collapse into bed. And I guess so, but don't fucking, that yoga instructor is a fucking freelancer who's been fucked by this as well. So it's like, they're trying to put something positive into the world. Why are you shitting on them? And I think this comes back to the kind of indulgence thing. It's like, yeah, you got to give this like rant and this like powerful speech, but what were you saying? Like, you were saying that it's not the same, and I'm probably wrong because it's got like fucking 30,000 views on fucking all over the place. So it's reached a lot of people, but it's like, I don't know. It's just, I guess it's just not my thing. But that's a very boring way to end that discussion. I just don't think this kind of ranting thing and this whole fucking, I don't think you're shitting on the right people. I think you need to fucking, You know, the people are saying, maybe have you tried this for your mental health? Yeah, but they're trying to help. Don't fucking, just because they don't understand what's going on with you, don't fucking shit on them, is my thing the whole way through. Like, if I don't understand the issue that you're having, you're not explaining it well enough. Do you know, like, that's it. I'm fucking smart enough to understand what's going on. And I had this argument with someone I knew in uni, where it was like, I said, oh yeah, I understand, that must be hard, because she was talking about like gender inequality. And she was like, no, you can never understand. And I was like, that's a ridiculous thing to say. That's like, it just doesn't make any sense. And even if it does make sense, it's not conducive to someone trying to understand. If you say you can never understand, well then I'm never going to try. And surely the aim is for people to understand each other and empathize with each other and see where everyone's coming from. In my opinion, Joe Biden, I got a little bit heavy, but I think I made some vaguely salient points. Joe Biden is fucked in the head. He's not fucked in the head, he's just old as fuck. Like, this is the problem with like fucking really, really old people running for president. Because, I mean, the man has fucking dementia. The man like does not know what's going on. He was giving a speech and he said he had 5 grandkids when he has 6. And look, that's just a number that you should have in your head, fairly close to the front of your mind. Like, it should just be there, and you can't even remember. There's 6 of the nearest and dearest things in your life, you would assume, as your grandkids, and you can't even fucking remember. And he just stops mid-sentence sometimes. He'll be like, like those fucking dogs in Up. Joe Biden is those dogs from Up. He'll just be like, squirrel. Joe Biden is those fucking dogs with the collar. He'll be like, I believe in health. Squirrel. That's Joe Biden. That's what Joe Biden does. And apparently he's been accused of sexual assault as well, which is a tricky one because he probably wouldn't remember. So somebody was probably like, Joe, did you do this? And he's like, I hope not, but I can't remember what I had for lunch. So how much is it going to cost to shut them up? That's the problem with. And is it the same person? If they have dementia, is it like, sometimes they seem like quite different people. Are you punishing the wrong guy? You've got the wrong guy! Because he doesn't fucking remember it. But he still did it, I guess. But maybe he didn't. I'm not saying, I'm saying there has been an allegation. I'm saying Joe Biden, given that Joe Biden can't remember how many grandkids he has, I don't know if he can remember how many tits he's grabbed. See, now this is the problem. That's quite funny. But I don't think that's not very sincere. It's not very vulnerable. Like, and that's but me being funny is me being me. So that's the fucking whatever. All I'm saying is Joe Biden's not gonna know. You're asking the wrong guy. It might be him, but I guess in this case, you gotta. I believe her. But then I could be like, yo, Joe Biden, grab my nipple, and then fucking Joe Biden be like, we've never met, and I'll be like, Joe, I'm your nephew. And he'd be like, oh shit, I can't refute this. Joe Biden problems. Hashtag Joe Biden problems. Oh, am I going bald? I said I wasn't going to talk about my beard, but I will talk about going bald. And how do I feel about going bald? I feel like on a level I've always been aware that I've been going bald. or not going bald, that I've been aware that I was going to go bald, because all my mom's brothers are bald. My mom's dad was bald, and my dad's brother has alopecia. So a lot of bald in the family. Dad's not bald. Dad's dad is very full head of hair, but apparently it follows your mother's side, and if that's true, I haven't got long left with my luscious locks. I've even ordered a cap, which is supposed to arrive today. I was hoping to be wearing the cap during this podcast, but you can't always get what you want, but you try sometimes. You get what you need. I'm such a good singer. This came up on the Doing Bits podcast with Aaron McCann. I can sing, and sincerely, I'm a real good singer. Believe me. Believe me when I tell you. What's that? That's the Beatles. Oh, never do you no harm. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, darling, please believe me, I'll never make it alone. This has been intense. That's not the end. I just got really caught up in my own singing there. This is the line. I found the line. That was indulgent. I found it. Captain Tom Moore is doing laps of his garden. A 99-year-old former armyman, veteran, British armyman, is doing laps of his garden for the NHS, and he has raised let's see how much he's raised. I'm going to get it googled on the old phone. I'm not going to do it on my laptop. Another bit of stand up. Let me see. Captain Tom Moore. How much has he raised? Captain Tom Moore is 128 million pounds. 28 million pounds has been raised for our old bastard. Captain Tom Moore could buy Kieran Tierney. Captain Tom Moore could buy... Who's the best footballer you could get for 28 million these days? Kieran Tierney went for 26 or something. I reckon Odsonne Edouard's going to that fucking old cunt's garden. 28 million? Now here's the thing. This is maybe a kind of cynical thing for me to do. But anytime a veteran does something, they do it a lot, they fucking love this shit, old veteran bastards. Not that he's a bastard, he might not be a bastard, but my hot take is anytime a story comes out about a veteran doing well, because Middle England fucking loves it. They love that shit. They're like, oh my god, he fought for our country and now he's grown the biggest avocado in Yorkshire. Oh, what a fucking man. I always check what battalion they were in and where they served. Generally to see if they served in Northern Ireland. But I checked on Captain Tom Moore, and he served in Burma and in India during and slightly after the Second World War. Now, the British Army in India in the mid-1940s, right around the time when Walkie McGee Captain Tom Moore, 28 million buying Odsonne Edouard next in the summer transfer window. Odsonne Edouard is signing for Captain Tom Moore FC. He probably might have done some bad shit in, the whole separation of India. That's how I did Google it the other day, but I want to get my facts straight on why this guy's a little bastard. Did I donate? No, I didn't. Jesus. But he might not be a bastard. They're not all bastards. But he might have killed some innocents. That's all I'm saying. This is just him, 99 years old, on death's door, has finally thought about that conversation at the pearly gates and gone, fuck, I killed a lot of Indians. I need to make up for this somehow. Brenda, get that fucking Zimmer frame out. We're raising fucking £28 million so I can get into heaven. Fuck's sake. I killed too many Indians. British Army atrocities, India. There we go. Dun 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 dun. The 5 worst atrocities. There, I remember that. This is the article I got it from. In 1943, up to 4 million Bengalis starved to death when Winston Churchill diverted food to British soldiers and countries such as Greece, while a deadly famine swept through Bengal. Yeah. Between 12 and 29 million Indians died of starvation while it was under control of the British Empire. Guys, I'm just saying, Tom Moore's just trying to get into heaven because he starved back in the day Ishan Akbar, my doing bits partner. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying he's killed a lot of Bengalis, probably. Maybe not directly, but Al Capone never killed anyone directly. Tom Moore is the Al Capone of India. Now, I didn't believe any of that. And it's all cancelable. I'll never gig in England ever again after disrespecting their veteran Zimmer frame hero. But it's just a fuck around. It's just funny to look at things from the opposite angle. Great that he raised £20 million for the NHS. Horrible that I have to explain myself after clearly fucking joking. But he's a genocidal bastard. Now, well, how long have I've probably been going for about half an hour, I would say. 28 minutes. Maybe it's time to... Let's talk about the stand-up comedy and the issue of seeing stand-up comedy as an art form. Because I love stand-up comedy. I love it with all my heart. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful art form. It's an art form where I found a way to really, really express myself and feel, to be performing, but to feel myself. And we discussed that a couple episodes ago. And thank you for listening. And I just... The point I want to get to is that the Arts Council does not support stand-up comedy. I think the statement that they put out said that it's a self-sustaining industry because its ticket sales are good and the overheads aren't that much. But you just think ticket sales are good for Kevin Bridges, for Mickey Flanagan, for fucking the big fucking arena comedians and the theatre ones as well. Like, but that's true of the West End. Ticket sales in the West End are fucking great. All the musicals are fucking flying at the minute. But, and maybe this is a shit time to have this discussion because neither of them exist, but you have to feel like the Arts Council's putting out a lot of money to like theatre practitioners and theatres and venues like that at the minute, where who need help because they can't put on shows and they can't make money at the minute. But there's comedy venues closing all around the UK, like Angel Comedy Club, which is one of my favourite comedy clubs in the entire world, have given me a lot of assistance over the years, and it's just a wonderful venue, wonderful staff, wonderful setup, wonderful. There's just ways you feel like you can progress there. You can work on the door, sign people in, do the numbers and the clicker and all that stuff, and you get to do 7 minutes on the night, and you get paid a little bit for doing the door as well. And it's just this nice community of like, look, you help us out, you get a bit of stage time, and I got a great packed out show, and we've got 2 venues, and I was supposed to do my first paid weekend with them this weekend. And I was really, really looking forward to it because their shows are great, their audiences are great, and the venue's great, and the acts are great, and fucking. But they're fucked. Like they crowdfunded to buy their venue. They're run by comedians. They don't really make that much of a profit. They don't like hoard money, and importantly, they don't get Arts Council funding because the Arts Council doesn't think stand-up comedy needs it, even though most comedians that you will have heard of in the UK have gone through Angel Comedy at some point and have been put on the stage for the first time when they maybe weren't that good. So comedians, to get to the stage, just like actors, to get to the stage of being at the West End, need to go through grassroots theatre and young people's theatre courses and do fucking scratch nights and all this stuff that's Arts Council funded. Stand-up comedy just gets this fucking bullshit of, nah, you're fine. Whereas places like Angel and smaller clubs and open mics and young comedians and working class comedians who don't have financial backing, like, they need this. They need support. And miraculously, Angel has been able to survive on people's donations, and they've set up a Patreon because they are teetering on the brink. At the minute, Angel Comedy Club need people to sign up. It's patreon.com/angelcomedy as far as I remember. If you have the means, and like obviously I have my own Patreon and I'd love if you support that, but what is as important to me as being able to survive and put stuff out at the minute is when I get back to London and I get back gigging, the places like Angel Comedy are there, because that's where some of my best jokes were worked out for the first time. I remember specifically there's a joke of mine that I tried at like 3 or 4 open mics and it never really worked, and I thought, fuck, that just must be shit. And then I was doing a new material spot at Angel in midweek, and they were like, oh, like, it was around the time I'd just been kind of like accepted at Angel, where they were like, look, you've done well the last couple of times, like, now you can try some new stuff, and like, if it, whatever way it goes, don't worry, like, just do, like, you can do new stuff, don't worry about trying to impress us and everything. And I was like, okay, great. But I kind of maybe didn't have anything new stuff to hand, so I was like, oh fuck, there was that peacock joke that I used to do. Oh shit, yeah, I'll give that a go. And I went up and I was like, oh, I did it, and it was fucking great. And I was like, if I hadn't been given that stage time to fucking to have a great audience, a really receptive audience, and a good MC and a fucking great show, and the confidence to do that joke, it would still be in the bin. It still would, like, because I just done it at shit nights when nothing was really going to work. And yeah, Angel basically, at the very least, I owe my closing joke to Angel Comedy Club. And that's what we need. We need places like that that'll platform comedians. So if you have any financial capability to give, I think £2.50 is what they're generally looking for. Buy them a cup of tea once a month on their Patreon. I think they need 2,500 people to sign up, and I think they've currently got about 400. So, although they only started the campaign today, but they're doing fucking great. We want them to survive. If you can support them, you're by extension supporting me. If you're a patron of mine, you're fucking great. Please, thank you so much for staying on my Patreon. Thank you for subscribing to the Patreon if other people want to subscribe to the Patreon. But Angel Comedy on Patreon, jump on there, buy them a cup of tea. £2.50 a month is less than 10p a day. I'm sure you can manage that to save one of the best comedy venues in the UK. If you care about stand-up comedy whatsoever, you care about me or any other comedian, Angel Comedy is the fucking birthplace of fantastic stand-up comedians. Now, that's my fucking advertisement for Angel Comedy. Done. Yeah, and I think at this stage we will crack on with the questions. Oh, so many burps. So many burps. Let me see. Where are we? I screenshotted the Twitter ones. So I did. If we had an extra finger on each finger, how would this change society? Where? So does it come out the first knuckle or the second knuckle? Or are they in between? So does it look like you've got 10 fingers on each hand? How would this change society? Number one, piano music would get a lot more dissonant because you're playing a lot of close together notes. But maybe it'd be more spread out as well. Anyway, it would get a lot harder. But also, like, pianists would have to fucking get their shit together. What else do you need? I mean, fingering would get real intense. Jesus, 10 fingers. But, like, 1 is 2, so maybe 2 is 4. Vaginas would expand exponentially, I think. What else? A finger on each finger. Basketball. Everyone could palm a basketball. What else? Juggling. Perhaps juggling. Oh, nail salons. Prices would skyrocket. Probably double, given that it's twice as many. Fingers or fingernails. Do the extra fingers have fingernails? We didn't discuss this. But thank you for your question. I think I answered that fairly comprehensively. Why is the Duke of York the best pub in Belfast? If not, then where? Now, the Duke of York is beautiful. It is. Anytime anyone comes to Belfast, they go, you have to see this little alleyway with all the fucking fairy lights, and it's gorgeous. And I've just thought in my head that, like, the fairy lights going across in kind of a bunting manner at the Duke of York is very poetic in Belfast, because the Duke of York, for me, and that whole cathedral quarter thing, think what you like about it, is that this kind of regeneration of that area of Belfast, and the fancy pubs and the beer gardens and the outside cafes and the restaurants and all these things, they are fucking expensive, but it represents a new direction and a new era for Belfast as a really cool, artsy metropolitan city. And I think that's really, really cool. And just the thought of the kind of strung across like bunting, where bunting in Belfast is normally a very territorial and very kind of keep out, this is our area type thing. The way those fairy lights go across and the lanterns go across on the street that the Duke of York's on is kind of like, it kind of nods. I'm sure it might have been deliberate. I don't know. Maybe I'm the artistic genius, really. It kind of nods back to the kind of bunting and goes, okay, you've had your time, but now we're using it to create a beautiful space for everyone to socialise and have a great time together and put gigs on. However, is it the best pub in Belfast? I don't think so. I think my favourite pub in Belfast is between two places. It's either three. Lavery's is in there just because Lavery's Comedy Club is one of the best comedy clubs you're likely to find. It's fucking amazing, run by Colin Geddis, who regulars, Micky Bartlett, Aaron McCann, fucking Dave Elliott, Shane Todd, all those people. Fantastic. That place is the reason I do stand-up comedy. That's the place where I saw Micky and Colin and all those people perform, and I went, I want to do that. That was my first experience of live stand-up comedy, so it's got a special place in my heart. As a bar, when that's not on, I'm not the biggest fan. It's okay, they do decent food. But it's not like a place that I would like to hang out. Sunflower Bar is very, very good. Great pizzas, lovely atmosphere, lovely live music on all the time. Not quite as expensive as your cathedral quarters. Not quite as many kind of... Because the problem with the cathedral quarter is the guys in the Ralph Lauren shirts, the blue skinny jeans and the brown brogues. That's the problem with the cathedral quarter, is like quilted jacket boys. You know what I mean? And like, wear whatever you want, but just don't act like one of them, okay? It's just a different atmosphere. It just feels a bit more corporate or something about that. Whereas the Sunflower feels a bit more like a pub. It feels a bit more like connected and attached. And, it's cool. I like Sunflower Bar. And then the Aragal, I think, is the best pint of Guinness as someone who's currently not drinking. And whether that maintains for the rest of my life, who knows? I might never drink again, but I also might have the odd drink. And it probably will be a pint of Guinness, because I've always liked a pint of Guinness. But the best pint of Guinness I've ever had is always from the Aragal Inn. Very consistent pints of Guinness. I used to work there, which is quite nice. But then again, I go to the Pavilion quite a lot. This is too inside Belfast. But if you're from Belfast, you'll that's a little... If you ever want to go to Belfast, those are my recommendations. Now, Instagram questions. Let's have a little look. I need to remember Mike Rice tagged me in that. Right. Have you ever been to Ardoyne? Anto Santo 33? I think I have. I think I've played football, soccer against team from Ardoyne. I think I've been through Ardoyne. My mum's from North Belfast, and like, is Ardoyne North Belfast? I think it fucking is. I have been to Ardoyne. That's a pretty boring question. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I appreciate all the questions because it helps me kind of crack on with the podcast. But I really don't know. Like, try and aim for not yes or no questions. Have you ever been to Ardoyne? I think so. Next question. Best and worst day from quarantine so far. Best day was probably... I don't know. They all blur into one is the problem. So I guess the best... I'll say best thing from quarantine so far, I think, has been doing Bits, the new podcast with Ishan Akbar. I'm really, really proud of that. I think it's the best balance that I've seen between a podcast and a live comedy show and this kind of exciting bit of it. I think it's really we've really tapped into something good. So I'm really, really pleased with that. I think that's been the best thing to come of this quarantine. Actually, no, here, the people subscribing on the Patreon, I can't explain how much I didn't expect that. Like, oh my God, when I put it out and said, look, having a really hard time, not going to be able to pay bills, probably, I could really do with some support. And people came out, man. And again, like, not to seem like a fucking needy cunt, I still am miles off recouping the money that I've lost from lost work, but Jesus, the people that have jumped on the Patreon, yous are fucking legends. That was amazing. I was really, really blown away by that. If anyone else wants to join the Patreon, it's patreon.com/Vittorio Angelone. I cannot explain to you how much I appreciate it. And yeah, I'm going to put out, I've been meaning to do this, I'm going to give you some secret links to full sets on my YouTube, because I normally just post little clips, but I'll put a link out to a 10-minute long set. I'll try and find a 20-minute long one that's good, and I'll try and find maybe a good audio recording of my Edinburgh show, my Edinburgh half an hour, and put that out as like almost an album. What else? Worst day in quarantine was... The first few days were difficult. I think coming back to Belfast and like moving away from Izzy and coming back to Belfast, and kind of the initial tension of like moving back in with my parents and arguing, and just that kind of settling in period of, it was pretty tense and pretty kind of emotional and kind of emotionally charged and angry. And that was really, really tricky, I think. And I think, Yeah, I mean, it does, on a level, it gets worse every day because I just think, God, when am I going to be back to doing what I love doing? Um, but on the other hand, I've found a lot of other things that I'm really enjoying, and I found a lot of ways I can reach more people and bring a bit of fucking Vittorio to their lives. So that's been good. Um, but yeah, maybe just that initial settling in period, and then kind of missing stand up comedy generally. Is quite. I'm moving away from Izzy. That's been the hard bits. Um, what else? Go to binge show. I spent 2 hours browsing and end up watching Scrubs. Scrubs is good. My theory on Scrubs, if you know Scrubs, it's a sitcom with Zach Braff and Donald Faison and other people in it. Um, Scrubs was great for one series, in my opinion, maybe two. But it's because you had the central character of JD, who was like the guy, and he was the kind of protagonist, and quite a lot of the footage was first person from him, like Peep Show almost. Um, and he was normal, and everything around him going into this new job was chaos, and everyone was fucking mental and all this fucking shit, and he was struggling to deal with the world, and that was where it was coming from. But then as you move into season 2 and season 3 and onwards, JD becomes very, very strange as well. So it stops becoming this grounded character that is being like kind of assaulted by the weirdness of the world. It becomes just all weird, and I just find it hard to like latch on to. Um, Bingeable shows that I will probably go back and watch. Oh, here's one that you might not have seen: Wilfred. It was on BBC 3 years ago. Um, it's got Elijah Wood in it, and he plays a guy who's depressed and tries to kill himself, but it turns out his sister had given him sugar pills, placebo pills, because she thought he was trying to kill himself. But something, he has like a mental break and starts seeing his neighbour's dog as an Australian man in a dog costume, and it's really fucking good. And in my first year of uni, I would like come back in between classes to halls and like watch an episode and fucking, oh my god, I was on it. It's so fucking good. I'm sure you can find it somewhere online. It's called Wilfred. It's got Elijah Wood in it. Don't watch the Australian version. Watch the version with Elijah Wood in it. It's really fucking good. I would recommend that. Other shows I could definitely binge. I've binged Better Call Saul. I've watched Breaking Bad again in the past, like a couple months ago. Community's great if you've never seen that before. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. U.S. Office, fantastic. Parks and Recreation, fantastic. What other fucking series is? That'll fucking do you. Jeez, if you watched all them, you'd be fucking 80. How are you coping with quarantine? Tom, I think we kind of covered that as Tom Deasley. Big up the Tom Deasley. Oh, that last one was Violin Mick, Paul Higgins, Anto Santo. Sorry, just to fucking give people credit, because I fucking appreciate people sending questions. You're a legend. How are you coping with quarantine? I think we covered that, Tom Deasley. You're a fucking great lad. I hope you're doing alright. It's alright. I think the low level anxiety is hard, but I think I'm getting on top of it. I think outwardly I seem very productive. I'm putting out this podcast, I'm putting out clips every week, I'm doing the Sunday roast, I'm doing all this shit, and it's going really, really well. There's a few things like the work I should be doing from home for some of my work in London. I'm finding it really hard to stay motivated for that, because it just feels like busy work, because I teach music in fucking classrooms. Like, I don't want an office job. I don't want to be doing fucking bullshit admin and forms. But here we are. And I have to do that if they're going to pay me. And that would really fucking help me to pay rent. And yeah, I need to just fucking do it, because it's just busy work and I'm well capable of doing it. But just the fact that it's just busy work that I don't see any value in just makes me fucking not want to do it. Bureaucracy and busy work, mate. Why do you think I'm a stand-up comedian? I don't want to do any of that shit. Just fucking... But I should just fucking put my balls back in my fucking trousers and do it. Anyway, that's how I'm doing my quarantine. What the lazy people do for exercise. That's from Brendan Mullen. Ra-ta-ta-ta. That's the noise I make when family send in questions. That's a new thing for the podcast. Probably won't come back ever again. I jumped on my bike, just went for a little cycle there, walking the dog. I'm sure it's not much, but it's just keeping that something. But lazy people, what do they do for exercise? I mean, I might start a thing, might do a trial for a week where anytime I want to watch something, instead of lying down on the sofa and watching it, because I'm getting through quite a bit of TV and podcasts and stuff, anytime I want to watch something, I will just jump on the fucking spin bike or the cross trainer and just put the laptop in front of it and just go and it doesn't have to be fast and it doesn't have to be structured, but I'm just doing what I would do in an active way. I might give that a go this week and see how that feels. And I might hate it, but we'll see what happens. I mean, if I make it past tomorrow, that'd be good. I've just called a war veteran a fucking genocidal maniac. And we've got Linda Keats 265, who is a fake account. It just says, I really like to have sex. Linda, don't we all? This has been the Good Guy Podcast. I hope you've enjoyed listening. Like I said, subscribe on iTunes, on Spotify, whatever. If you've made it this far, I've clearly provided some level of entertainment for you. Drop a review in the iTunes thing. It takes no time. Just hit that 5 stars. If you can do a little bit of text in there. I haven't had a text review in about a year. So you can just drop in, oh, I really like this episode for this, and this. Whatever. Give it 5 stars. Don't be giving it fucking 4 stars. There's a girl on there who gave it 4 stars and said nothing negative in the review. And I'm like, hey, do you want to not be a fucking cunt? Drop it a review on there, share it, post it on your Instagram stories. It fucking makes a huge difference. Like, anytime anyone posts a stand-up clip or a podcast thing on their Instagram story, I gain 5 or 10 followers, and that shit makes a difference. That adds up fast. If everyone that listens to this fucking put it on their Instagram stories, holy fuck, this podcast would take off in no time, and I could quit that bullshit busy work job. No, that's ambitious, but if you fancy doing it, I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Oh yeah, Patreon. www.patreon.com/Vittorio Angelone. Jump on the Angel one as well if you have the financial means. But my one's more important if you want to be a fucking good guy. Do that. You're a good guy if you listen. You're a fucking good guy. And guy, by the way, especially on the Patreon, it's a good mix of men and women. Although my Instagram following is 61% men. And whatever the other one is, women, 39. So if you're a feminist and you have any female followers, give my Instagram a share some clips, share this podcast, because I mean, I'm just putting out the content, baby. You're the sexists for not sharing it and getting more women involved. Okay? Patreon.com/Vittorio Angelone. Please do jump on there. I will put on some longer sets, 10-minute sets. I'll put on Newcastle Stand and Glasgow Stand. They're both great shows. And I'll put on one from Angel Comedy as well, just for the fucking crack. That's about a 9-minute set. But fuck it. And let's say if and when I reach 30 patrons on Patreon, I will post a video of like the earliest video of stand-up, me doing stand-up I can find. And let me tell you, it is fucking shit. But it will be funny to watch. Because let's be honest, I'm great now. But 2 years ago, no. Not a good comedian. So, if you want to see that, spread the word, jump on the Patreon, do that. And you're all fucking great. Up the fucking good, guys. I love you very much. Goodbye.